Hey y'all, it's Kira,
John,
Rachel,
Caitlin,
Dave,
Hunter,
Jake,
Clara, and you're listening to the
Peercast,
Peercast, featuring the BA reps.
your one-stop shop for everything UMTAD.
welcome y'all. What's up? How are you?
Hello. Welcome to episode 14 of the
14.
Peercast. We're already here.
Yes, indeed. Happy last week of classes, y'all. I don't know about you, but I am beyond excited. I'm so ready to be done. This semester has been gross, but it's chill. We're almost there. So just get ready. Be excited.
We are almost there. Almost there. All right. So we have some super neat announcements for you. Okay, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I was getting nervous that towards the end of the semester there wouldn't be anything to update people on, but there's seriously just still so much going on, which is exciting. So we have an announcement for dance majors. So there's a cool class opportunity that we wanted to share with you. You may have already heard about this via email, but so Ananya would like to invite all the dance majors to her concluding session of her class, Moving in Alignment with the Uprising, which will be this Wednesday, the 16th from 2:05 to 3:35. So in this concluding session, they will be joined by guest artists Orlando Zane Hunter Jr. and Ricardo Valentine, and they're both they're the duo known as Brotherhood Dance, and as well as Alexis Armita Renee, and they're going to be talking about their project Get Dis War Dance, a Black liberatory revolutionary moment, and it pushes us to think about dancing unapologetic resistances and to rethink our framing of a quote air quote war dance. And so this sounds super, super cool. If you're available during that time, definitely check it out. So you can reach out to Hunter or Ananya for that Zoom link.
Yes, indeed. All right, next, y'all, make sure that you register for classes by the end of the semester. They're going to use the number in which people are registering to determine what spaces to put classes in. So for say if you were in a class with 4 people, maybe you get to be in a larger space and do it in person or something like that. So make sure that you're registering so we're able to really accurately and safely put people in which classes they need to be in. Also with that too, making sure that we also remember about the arts management class that's coming up, y'all. If you have not signed up for it and there are spaces available, I really strongly suggest that you do it, because then you get to see me virtually, and I'd be real cute virtually. So just make sure you say hi and just be like, John, what's up? It's so cool. Also, Barbara's class, super fun.
I'm taking it. You could take class with me. I could take class with you. That's my, I got so excited, John, because when I registered for this class, I was like, I can plug a class that I can, just like the arts management class that we get to plug. So this is if you do Barbara's movement and dance therapies class, we can take class together too. So.
Look at that class with a Peercast host. It'd be perfect. Maybe you get some little shout outs or something like that. I don't know.
True. You never know.
All
right. Okay. Another really super cool thing that we wanted to kind of give you a sneak peek of. So the amazing Sonia Kuftinek is creating a panel and workshop event for next semester. So it's working in tandem with the Hub residency through UMTAD. And so from her description, I hope it's okay that I'm reading this, Sonia. So this is as the description exists before it's being released to you all. These are just some of her words. So it's an interactive workshop / roundtable launching spring semester. So tentatively January 22nd or 29th. So just keep those dates in mind, to bring theater and dance intentions post George Floyd with fall conversations around representation to creating braver, equitable spaces in season selection, casting, design, and rehearsal. And this event sounds absolutely amazing. So it's going to be moderated by the one and only Talvin Wilkes, and with an incredible panel of theater makers that we can't quite announce yet. We don't want to spill the tea yet, but all we can tell you is you're not going to want to miss this event. It's really just going to be a historic TAD workshop, and I'm just so excited for Sonia in this organization of this event. It's gonna be rad, y'all.
It's gonna be super, super cool. I'll be there. And speaking of season selection, the BA Season Selection Committee is in the process of selecting the shows for next year based on your submissions and the feedback that y'all gave us. So hopefully y'all had the chance to fill out that questionnaire before noon today. So if you're listening before then and you haven't filled out, please make sure that you are. But if you are listening after noon, then oops. Hopefully you filled it out already. But yes, please make sure that you're getting excited about our season, because I know Kira and I are really trying our hardest to get some wonderful shows going for y'all next semester, or next year. So be excited.
Yeah. All right. I also just wanted to plug really quick. There is something that I've been really, really enjoying, and it's kind of an unexpected thing, but I have to share it because it's so good. So Spotlight Education. So you may have known them from a high school. So there's a high school program that goes around to different high schools, right? And they send judges to go see your show, and then maybe you make it to the state showcase at the state theater. But they have like all of these events, right? And it's targeted for high schoolers, but I definitely still follow their Facebook page. And they do this thing called Musical Theater in a Minute. And so it's on Facebook, and Max Watanowitz, he self-proclaims himself as an amateur musical theater historian, but he's also an incredible actor around town. So he's done shows just about everywhere you can think of, like the Big G, the Children's Theater, Old Log, Theater Latte Da, Park Square, 10,000 Things, The Ordway, all of the things. And he's also the co-creator of Musical Mondays, which is a monthly cabaret that happens here in the Twin Cities, or it did pre-COVID times. And now they do trivia on Zoom, though, fun fact. So if you're interested in joining a musical theater community of the Twin Cities, you can check out Max's website for more info. So that's his last name. So it's Max, and then Watanowitz, which is WOJTANOWICZ. That's a cool one. So this Musical Theater in a Minute happens on Spotlight's Facebook page, and it's just an awesome way to get your musical theater history in a very condensed trailer form for your own outside exploration later. They do a really good job.
Yes.
To shout them out. Yeah.
I always hear Spotlight and I get so my whole body just gets adrenaline, just remembering just being stressed, being like, we need to make it a smart. No, God, stressed. Love it. All right. So something that's also pretty cool is that the BFAs did their Shakespeare scenes this weekend. So that is going to be the BFA class of 2023. They really popped off, making sure that you hopefully saw them. So there's so much talent there, y'all. They really be popping off. They're so nice too. If you ever get a chance to talk to them, just say hi. Just be like, what's up? That's all the BFAs. That's everybody in our department, realistically. But specifically, say hi. Just make sure that you're staying in the loop of all their projects and performances. You can follow the BFA Insta or Facebook accounts. Also, Clara and Emily definitely repost a lot of things. So watch the peers and TED accounts for sure, because they will let you know about some of the awesome things that are going on. All right, y'all. So the next time you should be really excited for our interview of the week. Something that you're always excited for. I'm always excited for. Kira's always excited for. Look at that. She's laughing out here. She's so excited.
I'm so excited. No, okay. It's because he just said room noise before that. That's why I'm laughing.
Fuck. Room noise. All right. So this week's interview is with Annie Mosity. And we are going to have a wonderful time with them. So Annie is a second-year MFA student focusing on costume design. They originally attended Arizona State University in Phoenix and graduated with a degree in theater in 2014. So they costume designed Skriker, as well as will be designing Men on Boats in the upcoming semester. So be excited for that. They also serve on the season selection committee as a representative of the MFA and PhD students with Kira and I. And lastly, y'all, they're such a wonderful human being, and we're really excited to have them on the PeerCast. So be excited. And hello, Annie.
Hey, Annie.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm alive, you know?
That part's fair.
Yeah.
That part's very fair.
Relatable.
How are you guys?
Good. I'm a little tired, you know. We're trying to live our life, but it's not really working, so.
Aw. I'm also doing okay. We have like a COVID situation going on that is there are so many twists and turns in this narrative, and I don't know what is going on, but it's a fun little
no.
roller coaster journey. Yeah.
That's not fun at all.
Oh, well, yeah. At least it's good timing. That's the only thing I have to say about that. Is it's good timing.
That part's true. Could have been much worse.
Right. True. Well, Annie, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you on the pod.
Sure, thank you for inviting me.
Yes. And so we have some questions, but it's really just super conversational, and we kind of like to go with the flow of things. And so I'm wondering, so is this your second year here at the U?
Yes, yeah.
Cool. And where did you do your undergrad?
I went to undergraduate at Arizona State University in Tempe, right outside of Phoenix. But one of my best friends from middle school, I got back in touch with her at the end of high school because of anime conventions and cosplay. And she went to the U. Yeah, she came here for the undergraduate program and went through. And I was always looking at the stuff in her portfolio like, oh, I wish we were doing stuff like that. So when I was thinking about, I did not want to stay in the desert. So I moved. So I moved up here to Minneapolis on the basis of a single visit in which I helped that friend apartment hunt. It was one weekend, and I was like, I love this. I want to live here. And then I did. And when I, decided I needed to go back to grad school because, all of my connections were on the other side of the country, and I'm not very good at networking. I thought that, the U is right here, and I knew that I was impressed with their program. So here I am.
Here you are. And has the love at first sight continued into elongated love for Minneapolis?
Yeah. Okay. No, I love the Twin Cities a lot. They're really cool. I feel like the middle school we went to was in Milwaukee. My mom's family is from Milwaukee. So I wasn't totally unused to the Midwest, and we drove out here to apartment hunt, and I was like, this is great. This is like if Milwaukee was less trashy. And I love Milwaukee. Milwaukee is great, but there's 2 theaters there. Yeah, whereas Minneapolis, I had heard, I had a professor at ASU, Bill Partlin, who had directed stuff at the Guthrie, and so I had already done some research on the many theaters in the Twin Cities, and for a while in high school, I was considering going to college for comic art, and my top school, the 2 comic schools that exist are the one here in Minneapolis and one in Georgia, and I was like, well, I hated living in the South, so I guess it would be Minneapolis for me. So I'd already had, I knew that I sort of liked Minneapolis, and then I visited, and I was like, oh yeah, this is really nice. I love this. And then we moved up here in January during the first polar vortex.
Oh yeah.
So that was a really fun experience, and I can't believe that my wife followed me from Phoenix to Minneapolis on just my say-so in a polar vortex.
What an experience.
Yeah, for real.
Commitment. Welcome to Minnesota. Negative 50-degree weather.
True. I'm interested in how was your experience at ASU? I feel like everything I hear about ASU is that it's just like a party, love yourself, wild time, and I was like, that's just always really interesting hearing how people go from ASU to anywhere else, So
yeah, I know where that reputation comes from. A lot of the programs are very it's kind of the worst state school in Arizona. We have 3. We have NAU and we have U of A, and they both have pretty rigorous science programs. And then there's ASU, the party school. And actually, they have a pretty rigorous engineering program, and some of the other programs are really good. I loved the theater program. I thought it was really good. It was larger than our program here. It was kind of a culture shock for me because I actually went to high school at a drama magnet, but it was on the south side of Phoenix. And the south side of Phoenix is much like the south side of Chicago. That is where they stuff all of the poor people and people of color. So I was one of very few white people in my school, and my drama program, I mean, was slightly whiter than my other classes, but like I was surrounded by Latina and Black students doing theater, making art for 4 years. And then I went to ASU, and it was like, what are these white people doing here? This is weird. It's very strange to not be one of the only white people in the room anymore. And then I moved to Minnesota, and I was like, oh, I didn't know it could get worse. Wow, the difference between the theaters I worked at in Arizona, which I already thought were like really white, and the theaters I've worked at up here, it's like, it's a very big difference. And I kind of didn't realize that there was a less integrated place to go from Phoenix, because, you know, Phoenix, Arizona has some issues around race and racism. And it's really weird, you know, because growing up, spending 8 years in Phoenix, it was like, I kind of thought like, oh yeah, places more north of us, like the Midwest, are way more like progressive. And it's like, psych, they're actually super segregated. Haha.
Yeah, most definitely. That's very interesting how, because like me, it's funny how we almost have like opposite experiences in a way where like you know, like growing up in Minnesota, like I'm very used to being like one of the very few Black people in a well, any program, but specifically theater. Yeah. And so like when you talk about just like theater where like, you know, most everyone are like people of color, and just like I feel like that's a whole different experience. I feel like the type of shows that you could do are different, and how like even the shows that we do now are so different just because of that. And I'm very interested. I would love to see like what that is. Like, you know, I feel like I'd have to go, you know.
Yeah, there were definitely shows that like we couldn't do because we didn't have enough white students. Like we were always like, what if we did West Side Story? And our teacher was like, there are not enough white kids and there are not enough boys. Like the two problems together is too much. And we tried doing, we did Flower Drum Song, which is an older musical about Chinese immigrants in California. And I think the idea of our director had was, this is about an immigrant experience. Our audience will understand it. But I think it felt weird to people, you know? Because there were not really any East Asian kids at the school or in the show. And it was, you know, like, it wasn't a bunch of white people. It was a bunch of, you know, Latina and Black students and like three white people in the whole cast. But still a little weird.
Yeah, I had such a I don't know, I had such a like a problem everywhere. It was just not having the not, I don't want to say like the right amount of people, but just not having enough of a certain type of person to be able to fully explore some of these shows. And I think I find that very interesting, because then I always want to wonder, like, how did you create this show if you grew up in a space where like you didn't have, you know, like you didn't have enough people to do certain shows? Like I think about it all the time. It's like, I would love to, you know, like it'd be nice to like have created in high school like a show surrounding Black folks. But then I was like, where am I gonna like do that though if I'm constantly surrounded by you know, like, and it's nice just to like create the show, yes, but like I would love to like have it be fully realized. And that's the part where I'm like, well, be a little bit of a journey to attempt that.
The thing that we did in high school to make up for this was we did a lot of reinterpretations of shows, like a lot of just completely, you know, race blind casting. I mean, like it was easier for the shows that didn't talk about race. It was easier to do shows like As You Like It and The Tempest, where it's like, where no one's talking about anyone's skin here. We're fine. It's fine. You're watching a high school production of a Shakespeare show. We're being creative. But like, yeah, it really felt, I think our teacher was trying to be like of the moment and try and get more of an audience. And it just kind of always didn't work quite as well as the shows we did that didn't try to address it.
That's such a bummer. I was part of I went to a southern Minnesota high school. So kind of, again, the opposite issue. And we did we did Aida with no people of color, and it was not okay.
Ooh.
It wasn't okay, but we still did it. And in that community, it wasn't really questioned, and so, you know, growing out of that now, I'm like, this is not okay. And how do we remedy that, where we're telling stories that align with our experience to an extent, where it's not that.
And doesn't that make you kind of question? Like, I don't know. I feel like I think about this a lot. Where, like, you know, the people who are in those spaces now, like who were teaching us and directing us in high school, right? Like they, hopefully they, like, you know, went to get a theater education where they talked about similar things that we're talking about, like representation in theater and things like that. Well, I know, like, that's sadly a newer topic in the theater, like, departments nationwide. So then I kind of want to see, like, I almost would think of, like, what are the things that they, like, you know, they went to go teach us as their youth. Like, what did they change from what they had learned, you know? Because now I'm, like, sitting here thinking, I'm like, if this has been a problem for so long, like, it had to have been talked about, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, why is it still something that, like, so many theater students, collegiate theater students at this point in time experience the fact that we didn't have enough representation to do certain shows that we did, but we still did them? Like, why is that such a common problem? You know, and like, I don't want to be like, what's going to be our common problem when, like, after we teach them to not do this, like, what are they going to look back and be like, y'all actually were the worst, because you shouldn't have done that, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel a lot like my parents had me when they were pretty old. I'm the youngest by 10 years in my family. So in my head, like, all my teachers were my parents' generation, even though a lot of them were younger than my parents. But I feel like people, you know, like boomers, people my parents' age, really, they thought that the solution, or part of the solution, was like colorblindness. They thought it was like the whole I don't see race thing. And I feel like that sort of is how we ended up in that place. You know, like, it's one thing to be like, your race doesn't impact my judgment of you, which is like, sure, good, that's a nice ideal to aspire to. Whereas I don't see it is like, so you're ignoring part of my identity. And I think that's sort of how we ended up in that place. And I don't know if it was more positive when it started out and it got, you know, warped, or if this was already a compromised position. But I feel like that might have been what was going on some, at least in my schools. Because I know that was definitely, I mean, I call my parents hippies, so they considered themselves very, like, liberal and progressive, and they definitely raised me in, like, the colorblind way. And it was really hard to unlearn that when people were like, that's not helpful to me, please don't do that. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about, you know, time passing and progress. Eventually, you know, hopefully the next generation or two will be like, wow, I mean, I see y'all were trying, but didn't quite make it. And it's like, well, as long as they see that we're trying.
Right. Sure. I wonder if there's ever a point where we end, you know, where that doesn't happen, where it's not a cyclical trying to remedy things that previous collective consciousnesses, is that the plural of consciousness? I don't know, but established, right? Conscience?
Yeah. I mean, but, like, change can happen really fast. I know it doesn't feel like that, but, like, when I was an undergrad, I graduated in 2014. So, like, when I was an undergrad, there's no way I would have been out as trans. There's no way I would have asked anyone to use they, them pronouns for me. There's no way I would have talked to anyone about this. Like, when my wife transitioned, I was like, I continued to use the wrong name and pronouns at work because I didn't think that I could explain to these people, like, where we were in our relationship, what was going on. I didn't want to talk about it. I just did not have the confidence that they would understand and that I would not be the only one. And then coming here, like, the U has places in the website for pronouns.
Yeah.
Like, ASU did not have that when I was there. And, like, the undergrads are all really, really good about getting my pronouns right, which is fantastic because I've been, you know, working in theater with a bunch of older people who do not get it even when they try, you know, and then just, you know, to see the next generation, you know, below me doing so much better and being just like absolutely like respectful and helpful and sometimes like yelling at the teachers while I'm still trying to figure out should I say something, like that's beautiful. And that's a huge shift in like 5 years. So it is possible. We can do it. You just got to keep pushing.
Most
That's so
definitely,
beautiful. That's so good to hear too. And okay, Annie, we have a question for you, and this is actually coming from Rachel Breeze. But she's wondering, so as a costume designer, and coming from your identity, how is that designing costumes which are so historically gender-based, and how does your identity kind of fit into that, and is it hard to, you know, like maybe not submit, but to follow those historical bias, you know, binaries?
Yeah. I mean, it is something that we talk about in the shop, and you know, like just the way we have storage organized is like by men's clothes and women's clothes, and like we actually, you know, like obviously clothes aren't gendered. That's silly. But on the other hand, like in terms of general categories of clothes, I mean, isn't really a substitute that any of us feel like works as well for like finding things. And I mean, it can be weird sometimes to, you know, when like a lot of the times when costuming a show as opposed to like dressing for my daily life, I am like, no, she's a girl, she'd never wear that. And I'm like, Annie. But you know, it's a characterization thing. Like, I think also just, like, I think the theater has such a strong connection with the queer community. So like, even when it wasn't explicit trans representation, there was you know, there were men playing women, boys playing women, women playing men, some, you know, like there's lots of gender bending that's been part of the theatrical tradition. And that's been, you know, either really important or just kind of like the status quo, and it's gone back and forth. And I just feel like, I don't know, a lot of the times, a lot of the directors that I've worked with and the actors that I've worked with, it feels more like whatever role, whatever gender we decide the character has is what we're, you know, working off of, and that may or may not have anything to do with the actor's gender. And like, I think that's just been a common practice for so long that it doesn't feel weird. But it is definitely something that I think about, you know, like, last year with the Skriker, there was a moment, you know, Emily crawled out of the sewer or whatever it was, out of the underworld, wearing this gold coat, but then like a normal person outfit. And the way I had originally designed it, it was like a sweater and a skirt. And then I saw the blocking, and she's crawling all over the floor and stuff. But you know, the coat is a men's coat. The Skriker is a shapeshifter. Like in the text appears as different genders. In our show appeared as different people and different genders. And so like trying to keep elements of men and women in the costuming was something that I was kind of struggling to balance. And so I really resisted taking away that skirt, because for, you know, whatever reason in my head, I was like, the skirt is the feminine part of this outfit. Like, it's not the audience looking at Emily and drawing conclusions, which like I know happens. We all know happens. Like, but like in my head, the skirt had become really important, and eventually I had to, you know, like Lisa had to talk to me and be like, okay, the skirt's just not working. Is there a compromise here? And I found some really beautiful like flowy palazzo pants, and I was like, oh, these are super femme, I love them. But for some reason, you know, it took me a while to get there and be like, no, pants are for boys. And I'm like, I don't, you know, sometimes things just make their way into your head. Like, yeah, I do think it's impactful, but I don't know if it comes up nearly as much as designing as it would if I were still performing. Like, it would be a much bigger deal for me if I was still an actor.
Very much so. I think it's very interesting, the sort of like how you go about balancing this sort of gender neutrality in characters like that. Like when I was thinking of like like, well, this is kind of a question for both of you on the way. Like Kira, your costume in Pippin, you know, leading player is a very, very like, I don't know, just snake. Like that's I think leading player snake. That's all I got, right? And so like, I think of like, you know, was there any balance in that costume? And I think of like, could you have put your costume like Annie? Were you able to see Kira's costume in Pippin? Were you?
No.
Oh, well, it was gorgeous. Shout out to Stacy. That was Stacy's
Stacy
costume.
Palmer.
Popped off. But like, I want to see if I can like find a little picture. Do you have a picture, Kira? You can like drop it in the chat or something.
Actually, I do.
Perfect.
I'll go grab the rendering.
Oh, the rendering, the whole rendering.
It was a gift from Stacy on opening night, and it's my favorite thing.
That is so sweet. I love that.
Isn't
I
that
would have cried.
I did.
I would have cried. I literally would have been like, Stacey, no, like you need to take this back because I'll never be able to do anything ever again. No, but like it was such a, I don't know, the costume is very, she already has it. She knew exactly where it was. I love that.
Well, it was actually, total honesty, I hang it on my wall in my closet. With a couple other special things.
That's so
and
cute.
Okay, I'm also going to pull up a picture for you because it changed halfway through the show. So this was the original rendering. I'm sorry, listeners, you can't see, but so there was like this halter-esque, there was like a little boa that came around that was pretty structured, and then these pants that were, they started out very kind of these nice flowy, kind of like how Emily's pants were in that Skriker, and these huge 6-inch heels, boots. And the actual, so we ended up, so Matt, sorry, as I'm looking for this, I can't think and scroll at the same time. So Matt decided that because he was kind of overseeing costumes for this one, Matt LaFave, and the pants just weren't working with the set. They were kind of bland, it looked like. So we changed to these sparkly pants, and then the top ended up just being like a bra with some mesh over it. And so that was kind of the evolution of that. But yeah, and it did feel very femme. It did feel very it felt very, very feminine and snaky, right, too, though. Which is interesting to think about associating those two together, because I think in my body it was a very kind of slimy, not slimy, but manipulating character in this costume.
See, but at the same time, I would have worn that. I would have been all up in that. I'd have been like, let's do it. Put me in a bra. I don't even care. Because I don't know. I think it was just so interesting to think of like.
I mean, I guess that is sort of the main way that I think about it. It's not necessarily just about gender. It's about a lot of stuff, like the way a costume looks on an actor is going to be different based on their body and their body type and how their body is perceived. My fat non-binary self in Kira's costume would be a different look and a different design choice than that same costume on Kira's body. And that's, again, different from that same costume on your body, John. Like, there's different connotations for each of those things. And that makes the character read totally different. Like, I don't think that me in that same costume would look snaky and manipulative. Like, I just don't know that that's what the effect it would achieve. And that's something that people think about as they dress themselves. And it is something to think about as we, costume design. And I think a lot of the time, just the way a lot of actors and a lot of renderings are by default, like before the casting, they're like skinny white people. That's designing for a different show, and it's all those factors. It's gender, it's race, it's body size, it's ability. Like, for Men on Boats, we have a character who doesn't have an arm, and trying to talk about how we're going to do that for an actor who in all likelihood is going to have that arm, because what are our chances of finding in our university community in the next 6 months an actor who fits our other diversity requirements and is at the U and wants to work on the show and is missing just one arm. It's also I don't know. Like sometimes you just have to accept that part of theater is putting stuff on people's bodies, and their bodies are part of the work. And that can be weird and it can be uncomfortable. But I think if you're thinking about it ahead of time, that helps a lot in sort of heading those difficulties off at the pass.
Annie, have you ever had to pivot a design based on a casting choice that you weren't anticipating? Has that ever been a part of your experience?
Trying to think. I haven't actually designed that many like actual shows. I've done a lot of proposals and like online digital working with independent artists. So I don't think so. Although I'm going to be honest, I'm so behind on stuff. I have not, seen all of the Men on Boats actors. So it's possible that that's waiting for me in the next week. And I'll be like, oh my goodness, this changes everything. I mean, I don't think it will necessarily because it's sort of a casual clothes like normal humans who go hiking would wear. But it might. I mean, and there's definitely times where I've had to change smaller details for an actor, for their body, for their comfort, for their blocking, like with people crawling up and out of things. And there have been some times where it's like, boy, if I'd known ahead of time that this actor was going to be 1.5 feet shorter than her scene partner, I would have made some different choices as a designer. Like, not necessarily like big changes, but like it's something I could have thought about ahead of time.
Have you? Because I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like costuming is the more intimate like design path. Like I feel like the set's kind of the set. Like it's very important. I'm not trying to. The set is very important. But like with the actor, I feel like costuming is the most intimate because like lighting. I lighting kind of sometimes too though. Like you light me different than you would like Kira.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you should. But sometimes it does feel in design meetings like set and lighting and even sound are off in their own little world, and I'm over here in costumes waiting on the director and the actors to be like, because it's me and the actors, and the director for blocking. Like, yes, the way I interact with the other design areas is important, but like it really is. It's a much closer relationship with actors, and like that even goes into like getting their measurements and talking about their sizes and being like, here's the underwear I need you to wear. Like, it would be very weird if a set designer told you what underwear to wear. But it's not a weird thing for a costume designer to talk to you about. So yeah, I definitely feel sometimes much more connected to the cast than to the other designers.
I suppose because what a vulnerable moment that is probably for both the designer and the actor in that measurement room, right? Where it's totally just, nothing to hide. You're just as you are for another human. And what a beautiful thing that must be to kind of witness and to live in. That's so cool.
It is so wonderful when an actor puts on their costume and they're like, this is perfect. I love it. I'm never going to take it off. And I'm like, yes, I did it.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like I remember in high school I did not like costuming per se, but like kind of costuming where it was a lot of I forgot what they call it, pulling shows where you just kind of pull some stuff and then you're like throw it on type of moment, and like getting measurements and stuff like that was a lot more intimate than you would ever when me as like a high school student not doing it before I ever could have imagined, because I was like, wow, I'm really exploring people's bodies here. And I feel like do you have any tips for people who like want to get into costuming but like are like in those spaces and they're just kind of like, this is really odd for me to be able to navigate? Like, do you have any tips to like create that space and be able to be okay in there?
Yeah, I think something that's really important is talking to the actor. I mean, even if like you're just telling them like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, could you do this for me? That's one thing that in all the shops I've worked in, we don't take the inseam just without actor input. We're like, here, can you take this end of the tape measure and put it right up in between your legs where you probably don't want my hand, so that I don't have to do it, and then you and I will both be more comfortable. And a lot of the times for some of those weird measurements, explaining what it's for and why we would need it, like why am I wrapping a tape measure from your neck between your legs up to your neck on your back? Like, because that's a weird one, and people are like, why are you doing this to me? And just explaining like that this is why, but also just at the top of it acknowledging, yeah, this is weird, but it is part of our job. Like, I know the first time I took actor measurements, the first couple times, I was like, thanks, I'm so sorry, can you just do, yeah, sorry, I know this is awkward. And the actor was clearly more experienced having their measurements taken than I was taking them. She was just like, it's cool, it's fine, this is part of acting, do your thing. Yes, you are correct, that is where my nipples are. And I'm like, great. Because like that is important for the way clothes sit on you, but it's also a weird thing to talk to someone about. So I think acknowledging the awkwardness, but also just telling people, this is what I'm going to do, this is why I'm going to do it. If you have any questions or you need to stop me, feel free. And I know that can feel, especially like in an academic setting, that can be hard. Like if it's like a staff member or a teacher is leading the measurement process and you're a student actor, you might not necessarily want to go, wait. And so we've been working in the shop about, checking in, just being like, hey, is this okay? Are you good to do this right now? Do you need anyone to leave the room? And just like, is there anything we can do to make this experience less weird for you? Because there's a whole lot of self-image stuff tied up in bodies and sizes. One of my friends who does costuming has had actors apologize to her for not fitting a costume. And it's like, honey, you're the actor, or in this case, you're the dancer. The ability of you to dance is way more important than the ability of this to fit off the rack. We can change the costumes. It's a lot harder and a lot less healthy to change your body for a production. That's why the costuming team is there. We're there to make the clothes fit. The clothes are way more changeable than a body. But it's just so ingrained in people that sometimes you have to remind them, like, I see lots of bodies every day, and my concern is not making you feel a certain way. I want you to look a certain way, but I want you to be comfortable. Because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to do a good job acting. Like, you can't do your job if you're like, this doesn't quite feel right, or I'm worried about my pants falling down. Like, it's just, that's another thing to think about that performers don't need to think about.
Yeah, that's really important because I've definitely done some shows where I'm just like, this does not work, but we are here and we are doing it. And that's been the second thought in my mind as I go through the whole show. Oh my God, the amount of shows where like I get so scared of like ripping my pants. It's partially because I have ripped my pants in the middle of a show before. And
honestly, common. That's one of the things that I've done the most of on some shows, especially with lots of dancing or people on the floor. The pants just rip. And sometimes they rip along the seam, and sometimes they just big old rip right across the butt. And it's really common. I fixed it a lot. There was one show I worked on, Hello Dolly, the tour came through. Shout out to Elmo for being a great wardrobe supervisor. I love that man. But we actually had patterns for the repairs we were making to the pants, because the waiter pants, they do this big number and they're crawling on the floor and they're sliding and they're doing high kicks, and it's like every single one of those pants came down in the 2 weeks the show was here, I swear. Like the crotch came out, the knee blew out, and it was just like we had patterns for here's the knee patch, here's the butt patch, because like the fabric was just going out so often. It was like, we're just going to replace the whole thing. And that's the nature of it. Like, human bodies, super elastic, super adaptable. Wool pants, not so much.
Not at all. Yeah, and I remember because I was in the middle of Urinetown, and I did the splits one number, and it just said zoop. And I tried really hard. I got all nervous, and I was like, "Oh no!" And then I was thinking, I was like, "What underwear am I wearing today?" Luckily, they were black, so I was like, it looked fine. But I remember also trying to just safety pin it everything back together. So I was doing another number with about 10 safety pins, and then in the middle of that number, it ripped again, and then all the safety pins were just out and like still attached.
Oh no.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
I once ripped my pants during an audition, like in the middle of it. We were doing Romeo and Juliet, and they asked us to do a cartwheel for, cartwheel sword fight action here. And so I did my cartwheel, and I was up there in the middle of it, right? And it goes, and I was like, Well, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Tied my little jacket around my waist, called it a day.
That's the real reason to layer, is so that you have something to tie around your waist if you have a pants problem.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Man, Annie, I don't know if this is like a secret question, but so you're doing the costumes for Men on Boats, right? That's so cool. And is this, so are you designing costumes to be delivered to actors to wear? Or are you kind of working from the actors' closets right now? I'm curious what that is like.
Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, we've pivoted like 3 or 4 times during this production because it's just like, are we going to be able to gather in person? Are we going to be able to film on stage or whatever? So right now the plan is to order stuff and have it sent to the shop so that I can make sure that they sent us the right thing, that all the things look right together, and then, deliver them to the actors or have the actors pick them up, and do a fitting, digitally through Zoom so I can see stuff, and then have them send stuff, whatever needs to be altered, send it back. And then probably we would send it back to them when it was finished. But yeah, one of the things that we would like to do, especially for if we have to do outside, there are some staple items and some safety concerns. Like, I don't know if we have to film outside in March that we can really afford nice winter boots that aren't slippery for everyone. But if they have their own boots that they want to wear that are comfortable and fit them, then that would be great. But like, we can't like require actors to wear their own clothes, but for like stuff like shoes and jeans, sometimes it is just more comfortable to wear your own stuff. So if they're willing to do that and it works, then that's great. Especially for stuff like jeans and shoes, because those are so weird to fit. In person, it's like, here, try 7 different pairs of jeans. One of them kind of fits, so we have to bring it in. And it's like, I have a pair of jeans that looks exactly like this at home, but it actually fits me. So
that's me every time I go into American Eagle, I'm like, 8 pairs. Nah. Do I have a pair that works? Yeah.
Yeah, there's just some things, it's like, it's so much trouble to fit this. You probably own it. And it's, yeah.
True. I remember that was like all my costumes back in the day. Half of bring in half of it and be like, this is just how it goes.
Yeah, I definitely wore some of, I think we did this production of The Birds in high school, and I played 2 characters. The Aristophanes play, the comedy, not like Hitchcock. So I played an activist, because it was like a modern adaptation translation kind of thing. So I played an activist, and everyone was like, all right, Annie, you can just wear your hippie clothes, right? And I was like, yeah, I can just wear my hippie clothes. So I think the only like costume piece was like the headscarf I found, or maybe the tunic or something. Everything else was just stuff I owned. And everyone was like, perfect, looks great. That's exactly what you should look like as an activist. And I was like, cool. And then the other character was like this emo rainbow goth. And they were like, you can do this too, right? And I was like, yes, I can also wear my own clothes for this. That's like the 2 sides of how I dressed in high school. And it was just like, everyone else is in these cool bird costumes and I'm just wearing my clothes. But on the other hand, I didn't have to stand there and paint myself for an hour getting into flamingo makeup. So who's the real winner?
I would say shows that require like that much face makeup are the absolute worst. We did like our own original like version of Where the Wild Things Are in high school, and my character, his name was Flabbergast. This was my favorite character. Favorite, like, I guess technically he was a lead, so that was like my first ever one, which ride or die, Flabbergast. And I
Snaps.
I know, it was wild. But so I had to like essentially paint my entire face as a rainbow, which as a person of color is harder than you would imagine. It was like 5 different layers of the same paint in each line. I felt really bad because at the end of the show, realized that we had gone through like 5 bottles of each color of the face paint because it was in the little like Ben and I, like circles things. So we had to like buy all that, and I was like, I'm sorry, but like LOL. And also, I had to put in like another rainbow, but going the opposite way in my hair. And I got dark hair too. So we bought another like 3 bottles of spray paint. It was the absolute worst. And it would take me literally it would take me like a whole hour just to do that. And then my costume was just like this little brown cow costume that I put on. And that was it. And I was so mad because I was like, my costume is a onesie. It takes me 3 seconds to get into. But everything else took an hour for me to sit there and like use my inhaler in between the spray paint as it like
Oh,
coats
no.
my body. It was a mess. And I was like, this is too much for me.
Yeah, we did my freshman year in high school. We did Cats, which is so fun to be in. It's very fun to be in. I don't know that I could defend the artistic integrity of Cats, but it is so fun. And yeah, we had. I mean, you know, it's a big cast. It has to be a big cast, and we are all painting our faces. And since most of us are wearing like tank tops down our necks onto our chests, we went through so much makeup. And it's like the rest of the costume is like a leotard and some like elastic waistband puffy pants. Like it's nothing. So it was literally all like makeup, and it was just chaos. There was a whole dressing room devoted to it. Cause it was just like, there's no way that we could have done it without like, you know, an hour and a half and like an extra sink. Like it was a lot.
That's insane. I don't know if I've ever seen Cats done in high school. That seems like that would be the bomb. I would be so excited.
Honestly, I feel like it was one of the highest production value shows we did while I was there. And for some reason we timed it so that our production was like the week after the national tour went through. So I actually had family who went to see the national tour and then came to see our little high school production, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna talk so much shit, I'm gonna be so embarrassed. And then they were like, yours was better. Like the national tour relied a lot on pyrotechnics and it made it hard to see, and yours was closer and not as brightly lit, so I could actually look at the people. And I was like, yeah, we did something. But we also had this huge junkyard set that was like all in one piece, and there was a slide that I got to run up, and we had the genie on stage to lift what's-her-face up into the heavens, and it was so complex. There was a day where we all just came in specifically to graffiti the set so that it looked more junky, which was the most fun work call of all time. And it was a wonderful show to be involved in, and it's like, it was just so good. It set the bar really high on shows, you know, to be in. Because, like, I mean, 30 people in cat costumes scampering around the stage. It was also the hardest I've ever danced. That was... Yeah. I am not a dancer. I can just about follow choreography. That was probably the extent. That was the limits. That was pushing me.
I learned the original... part of the original choreography of Cats... it's the Moonlight number, the big party one, the ball. I'm not as familiar with the story as I should be, but it's the hardest choreography I've ever learned in my entire life. It's so, I mean, it's just leaping, right? Because they're cats, and it's just, yes, the physicality of that show, like on any level, is absolutely insane. Crazy.
Cats seem like I don't even just imagining. Oh wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of part of the musical. The way we did it at my high school was the drama magnet, you know, did most of the other shows, but the musical was open to everyone. But the dance magnet would have a dedicated like number or two. Like they would be, I guess, our supers, sort of. You know, they would come in and be like extra bodies and the good dancers. And I don't even remember if they did that for Cats. We might have. Like I remember the other shows, like they had their dedicated numbers, but I feel like in Cats it was like we got a bunch of the cheerleaders, we got a bunch of the dancers to just be in the cast. So there was cartwheels and toe touches and all sorts of acrobatic stuff going on the whole time.
Those are my favorite shows. I always think of like when you like scoop up like one dancer, you scoop up like one cheerleader, and it's you can tell the whole like it's like the dance break and everyone is like, you know, doing a little side back and forth. All of a sudden, like they all spread out for one person to do a backflip. Like what? And it's like fine, it's perfect. You set up the whole thing just for these acrobats. This is really bringing me back.
Yeah, there were definitely some shows where that was a little bit more like what happened. Like, oh, the rival clan has come to visit us and talk shit, and they're mysteriously all silent and very good dancers. And it's like, yeah, that's the dance magnet that they just showed up. There's their number. There they go. Goodbye. Farewell. I hope you enjoyed your 4 minutes of fame.
I love that so much.
Man. Gosh, well, I think we've already answered this question out of all of these joyous, beautiful stories. But okay, Annie, so we have a question that we ask all of our podcast guests, and it's a little melodramatic, but we love it, and we love all of these answers. And so our question is, why theater?
I think recently we talked about, not theater specifically, but why art. And the answer I gave was because I don't know how not to. And that's honestly kind of the same for theater. When I first was signing up for undergrad, I was intending to major in linguistics. And I realized, like, the week of graduation, I was like, wait, if I'm constantly taking linguistics and English classes, I won't have any time for shows. And I was like, I can't imagine the next 4 years without shows. And I switched my major to theater. I was like, there we go. I'm doing it. It's fine. Because, like, yeah, I don't even know what my life would be like without this. Like, I think the first show I was in was, like, 3rd grade. And, like, I feel like I need to do it, you know? I don't know what I would do without theater.
Good. I love that. I love that so much.
Me too. How can I not? Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Annie, thank you so much for joining us today. This was such a lovely conversation. I feel like we really dove deep into a lot.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me on. It was very nice to talk to both of you. It's one of the things that I miss the most about, you know, having in-person theater is talking to other theater people about theater. Like, yes, I can talk to, you know, my mom and my wife about it, but they have heard me every day of my life for the last 10 to 29 years. Like, they know, they heard it. So it's really nice to talk to y'all.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it was lovely having you. I'm so excited. This is so fun. We should have a little mini little like reunion or something and be like, let's do it again.
Yeah.
It'd be super fun.
That'd be cool.
True.
Yeah.
All right.
And
well,
we'll see you soon. Oh, sorry. We'll see you next Monday for season selection.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Are we having a liquid hour this week or?
No. No. Honestly, I wonder. It's not too late to have another one, though. We might just be able to sneak one in. Because a lot of people came last week. It was so fun. Yeah,
I'm so sad I wasn't able to go.
Oh, it was fun.
A good one.
I had to leave early, but we made paper snowflakes, which is gorgeous.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I will certainly see you both soon.
Yes.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Goodbye.
You too.
All right, see ya.
All right. Thanks, Annie. Annie, thank you so much. What a joyous conversation that was.
So fun.
I love talking about high school theater. Good stuff. Okay, so we have some awesome segments for you this week, as always. So for our artist profile, so Claire and I were discussing who to do for this because it was time for, you know, like a BFA-esque artist profile, if that makes sense. We try to like rotate it, and there was kind of no question about this one. And so we are highlighting this week Lauren Keating, who is a director and creative producer of narrative film and series. She's a new and classical theater maker, and she also works with site-specific events. And she is based here in the Twin Cities, but she does things all over. And she's committed to work that centers marginalized voices and seeks to engage audiences in imaginative, personal explorations of complex and urgent questions. So her web series, which is called The Feminist Cooking Show, debuted in downtown LA Film Festival and was selected for Network Notes and Professional Development with ITV. So that's really cool. So that show, The Feminist Cooking Show, went on to air on Starable, where it trended and became a featured web series. So cool. Definitely check it out if you can. It's really neat. And so Lauren's latest film, which is called Power Out, is currently in submission and having already screened with Cinema Lounge, Nevertheless Film Festival, Clexicon Squad Fest, and the upcoming LA Horror Film Festival. So she is moving and grooving right now. As always, she made her off-Broadway directing debut with Josh Cohenberg's Al's Business Cards. Her regional directing work includes the 2017 to 2019 productions of A Christmas Carol at the Guthrie, which is where I know of her from. She's also did Smallmouth Sounds at the Jungle Theater, Rhinoceros with Seventh House Theater, Lulu Learning Russian in Charlotte's Web at Hanger Theater, translations at Yale University Drama, and the development of the Antony and Cleopatra project with Terrell Alvin McCraney for the McCartier Theater Center's Conservatory, which is really cool work, you guys. That's really neat. And so she's also, just to continue down this long list, like she's just absolutely amazing. So she's developed work with organizations, including the Public Theater, which we know is the theater that produces Shakespeare in the Park in New York City. She's done work with the Playwright Center, Ars Nova, 3LD, the Woodshed Collective, the Old Vic, the Dixon Place, and the Flea Theater. And she is a Mellon Foundation / TCG Leadership U Fellow. She is a Time Warner Foundation Fellow and a Drama League Fellow. She was the former associate producer at the Guthrie Theater, the former artistic associate of the Shakespeare Society, and she's also an NYU Tisch alum and a proud member of the Alliance of Women Directors. And she's currently in pre-production for her new web series titled Alone, and a short film titled Force Majeure. So she is absolutely incredible and just such a kind, warm human being. I love her to absolute death. She's amazing.
Yes, we love that. All right, next up, y'all, is our student feature of the week. And this week, we'll have Taryn. Taryn is a first-year tech student who is popping off, been to every single USITT meeting, living her best life, killing it. And that's according to Rachel, which, that's some clout right there. So,
True.
Taryn, take it away.
All right. My name is Taryn Shuka. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a first-year student here at the U. I plan on double majoring with a theater, tech, and design BA and a dance BA, and I have loved absolutely everything I've been doing through UMTAD so far. I'm taking a couple of dance classes and a theater class, and I've been involved with USITT, which is a really cool group, and anyone who loves tech and design for theater should come and hang out with us. And I've had a lot of fun getting to know people through everything, clubs and classes and little meet and greet things. It's been really, really cool. And I've gotten to do some really awesome stuff through my classes as well. I've been improvising and contemporary, and I got to design some costumes for my intro to theater class, which I had so much fun with because that's what I want to do with my life. I want to work in costuming. Hopefully for theater or dance, maybe for movies, I don't know, we'll see. But I've had so much fun getting to know people and doing cool things, and I love being a part of this department because I've had some really great opportunities, like being featured on the Peercast. So thank you so much, and cheers!
Taryn, thank you so much. It is so nice to meet you. Kind of virtually. Hopefully we can meet in person, all of us, next semester, maybe, hopefully. All right, so we have a question for you, as always. So this has been on my mind. What is your favorite Christmas cookie? Also, I had to laugh because literally when I write these, John, they're always about food, and that's where my brain goes.
I was gonna say favorite Christmas cookie. And I'm so confused. Okay, wait. I don't Christmas cookies. I don't even. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. Mine.
Mhm.
Do you know those? Okay, so technically these aren't like Christmas cookies, but like I like the Christmas like ones better, if this makes sense. So you know
Okay.
the ones at like Target and like Cub and like the bakery, and like they're the ones that have all that icing on it, and they're very like honestly they're squishy. They look like I don't even know like they look
Is it
like they're
like
not even real.
a sugar cookie?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are amazing, actually.
So I know, right? And the Christmas colors are my favorite ones of those.
Aw,
So
that's so
yeah.
sweet. I am a lover of the Christmas wreath cookies where it's like cornflakes and marshmallows and
Oh.
like, you dye it green and then you put Red Hots on them for like the little berries.
Okay.
Also,
Okay.
I saw someone making these the other day and I was like, that's my favorite. It's the maraschino cherry white chocolate cookies.
Ooh.
It's like a sugar cookie but with white chocolate chips and maraschino cherries and maraschino cherry juice. It's so good.
I like that. I like
So
that.
good. Yeah. Also, to answer our question from last week, what was your favorite breakfast food? So we got a response from Hunter. And okay, so she, like me, is like I have a smoothie every morning and it's the same smoothie kind of girl. And I love that. Thank you. And, but I also, I had to giggle because she's like, I hate cereal. Cereal, not it for me. She's like, it's soggy bread. That's not the move. Yeah.
That's
Anyway, made me
disrespectful.
giggle.
I love cereal. To be fair though, I don't put milk in it. I just be eating cereal like as a meal.
Honestly, kind
I'm
of
a
way to
mess.
go.
Just a mess. Literally, if you ever have a vision of me in cereal, it should really be me in a corner with a box of Lucky Charms, hand in, just going. There's no bowls involved.
No. Oh my
All right,
gosh.
y'all. Lastly, we have some closing thoughts.
Yes,
Some
we
wise
do.
words. Who are our
Wise
wise words from?
words.
Where are they
Oh
from?
my gosh, y'all. They are from Only the Wisest. And he's sitting right next to me in this Zoom room. John.
It's me. I have the wise words. All right. So, wise words of the week. Okay, here. So, I'll just be. Okay, look, y'all. My wise words of the week are going to come from me and my self-care. So, as I've been going through the end of this semester, wanting to finish it. Let's just say that. No, I just wanting to finish this semester. What I've been doing recently is like looking up like different, like things that will give me inspiration for weddings. And I remember from back in my childhood, watching Medea's Family Reunion. If you have not seen it, make sure that you do because it's absolutely lovely. I love all the Tyler Perry Medea movies. Tyler Perry himself is a little messy, but the Medea movies are so funny and they're so fun. And there's this poem that is read before the wedding in Medea's Family Reunion, and it's In and Out of Time by Maya Angelou. And for my wise words, I'm going to go ahead and read this poem. It might be weird. Don't judge my poem reading, but it's one of my favorite poems. So here we are. The sun has come, the mist has gone. We see in the distance our long way home. I was always yours to have, you were always mine. You have loved each other in and out of time. When the first stone looked up at the blazing sun, and the first tree struggled up from the forest floor, I had always loved you more. You freed your braids, gave your hair to the breeze. It hummed like a hive of honeybees. I reached in the mass for the sweet honeycomb there. God, how I loved your hair. You saw me bludgeoned by circumstance, lost, injured, hurt by chance. I screamed to the heavens, loudly screamed, trying to change our nightmares into dreams. The sun has come, the mist has gone. We see in the distance our long way home. I was always yours to have, you were always mine. We have loved each other in and out, in and out, in and out of time.
This episode of the Purecast is edited by Rachel Breeze, programmed by Hunter Batterson and Caitlin McLean, and our music is composed by Raymond New.
All right, let's do the mushies. Is that what we're fucking going with today? I don't know if that one's the move, but okay.
It's because Hunter.
Ew.
I was thinking about soggy bread because of Hunter.
Okay. Jeez. I don't like it. All right, y'all. Here are your sag mushies with Kika and John. No bueno nada.
No.
All right,
Okay.
let's do it.